Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Dhari Jaya Girivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Jaya Braj Jana Jana Jai Yashoda Nandana Jai Braja Jana Ranjana Jai Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, Text 21. Canto 3, Chapter 15, Text 21. And this chapter is the descriptions of Vaikuntha, Chapter 15. Shri Rupini Panayati Charanara Shirupini Kvanayati Charanarvindam Leelambujena Harisadmani Mukta Dosha Samlakshyate Spatika Kudya Upeta Hemni Samarjati Vayadanu Grahane Nyayatna Shirupini Kvanayati Charanarvindam Leelambujena Harisadmani Mukta Dosha Samlakshyate Swatika Kudya Upeta Hemni Samajati Vayadanu Grahane Nyayatna. Shri Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, Rupini, assuming a beautiful form. Panayati, tinkling. Charana Aravindam, lotus feet. Lila Ambujena, playing with a lotus flower. Hari Sadmani, the house of the Supreme Personality. Mukta Dosha, freed from all faults. Samlakshyate, becomes visible. Svatika, crystal. Gudye, walls. Opeta, mixed. Hemni, gold. Samarjativa, appearing like a sweeper. Yet anugrahane, to receive her favor. Anya, others. Yatna, very much careful. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses, and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once again, the ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as a goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses, and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord Govinda is always served in his abode by many, many millions of goddesses of fortune. Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrahma Sevyamanam. These millions and trillions of goddesses of fortune who reside in the Vaikuntha planets are not exactly consorts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but are wives of the devotees of the Lord, and also engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated here that in the Vaikuntha planets, the houses are made of marble. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the ground on the Vaikuntha planets is made of touchstone, Chintamani, Prakara Sadmasu. Thus, there's no need to sweep the stone in Vaikuntha, for there's hardly any dust on it. But still, in order to satisfy the Lord, the ladies there always engage in dusting the marble walls. Why? The reason is that they're eager to achieve the grace of the Lord by doing so. It is also stated here that in the Vaikuntha planets, the goddesses of fortune are faultless. Generally, the goddess of fortune does not remain steadily in one place. Her name is Chanchala, which means one who is not steady. We find, therefore, that a man who is very rich may become the poorest of the poor. Another example is Ravana. Ravana took away Lakshmi, Sitaji, to his kingdom, and instead of being happy by the grace of Lakshmi, his family and his kingdom were vanquished. Thus, Lakshmi in the house of Ravana is Chanchala, or unsteady. Men of Ravana's class want Lakshmi only, without her husband, Narayan. Therefore, they become unsteady due to Lakshmi. Materialistic persons find fault on the part of Lakshmi, but in Vaikuntha, Lakshmi is fixed in the service of the Lord. In spite of her being the goddess of fortune, she cannot be happy without the grace of the Lord. Even the goddess of fortune needs the Lord's grace in order to be happy. Yet in the mature world, even Brahma, the highest created being, seeks the favor of Lakshmi for happiness. Om Jnanam Timanantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is such a beautiful verse, and I don't know how I got this verse. This is one of my favorite verses. It's actually a very special verse. I just want to read a few of the previous verses in this section. Maybe just for context. Maybe starting text. Okay, from here. Lord Brahma said, my four sons, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumar, who were born from my mind, are your predecessors. Sometimes they travel throughout the material and spiritual sky without any definite desire. Text 13. After this traveling all over the universes, they also entered into the spiritual sky, for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets. So even the devotees are worshipped by the residents of all the material planets. In the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are engaged in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious processes for the devotees. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees, and in all seasons they are filled with flowers and fruits, because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. When the king of bees hums in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, kurabaka, utpala, champaka, arna, pannaga, nagakeshara, bakula, lily, and parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi, for Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli, emerald, and gold. Although crowded by their consorts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. The ladies in Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is such a beautiful verse, and a very instructive verse. Prabhupada actually speaks on this verse quite a few times, and he makes a very wonderful point, which he makes here in the purport as well. He says how he describes how this verse shows the greatness of devotional service to the Lord. The devotional service is so pleasurable, satisfying, that the devotees are interested in doing this service, even if there's nothing to be done. In other words, the purpose of devotional service is not to get work done. The purpose of devotional service is not that, well, there's so much work that needs to be done, so therefore I'm getting it done. Yes, that may be the case, that there is a lot of work to be done for Krishna. But the purpose of devotional service is to please the Lord. The purpose of devotional service is to serve the Lord and nothing else. And that's why most devotees are doing a service for Krishna that apparently is utterly useless in terms of getting work done, materially speaking, right? The primary activity that devotees do every day is their 2 hours of japa, right? Chanting. I mean, compared to other services, we spend the most time in that service, most of us, because, I mean, of course, everything in a devotee's life is service, but I mean, like, we don't generally, do cleaning service for 2 hours a day, or we don't go to the temple and cook 2 hours a day. Some devotees do who are full-time, but most devotees are most devotees are engaged in chanting 2 hours a day at least, plus, if they're singing some prayers, something like this. And all that work, all that service for Krishna is not, it's done voluntarily. It's not, the chanting is not there so that, so that we can, accomplish something, like accomplish some work. The chanting is there just for the sake of chanting. We're chanting the holy name of Krishna because we want to chant the holy name of Krishna, because there's a pleasure, there's a taste in chanting it. We're doing it to fulfill the instruction of the spiritual master, but that instruction is also not to fulfill to accomplish something. So this is the nature of devotional service to the Lord, that in the spiritual world, there's nothing to clean. It's a spiritual world. Everything is all auspicious. There's nothing that's dirty there. There's nothing that's unclean there. This material world, we see it's such an inauspicious place, right? Such a horrible place, left and right. Every time you open the news, it only gets worse. Now, maybe there'll be a world war, right? It's getting so bad. Countries are setting up nuclear weapons on the borders of other countries. And so many countries are at war with other countries. The world just gets worse and worse. But in the spiritual world, there's nothing that's bad. Everything is so wonderful. There's no dust in the spiritual world. Prabhupada says in the purport, hardly any dust. So maybe there's some, there's some transcendental dust because, the sand from outside maybe comes inside. But in other lectures where Prabhupada says, he says there's no dust. It's completely spotless, sparkling clean. Yet the ladies of the Vaikuntha planets are engaged in wiping and cleaning those floors. because of their taste for serving the Lord, because of the great, immense ecstasy they feel in serving the Lord. And we see this when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that all the devotees of the Lord are feeling such great ecstasy. They just want to serve the Lord. They don't want anything else in this world because of the taste of the of the of the reciprocation, of the relishment that they're experiencing in serving the Supreme Lord. So, um, so this is the nature of the devotees in the Vaikuntha planets, that they are pure devotees of the Lord, and they're always continuously engaged in serving the Lord and offering service to the Lord, and in every way engaging in that service. So Srila Prabhupada, therefore, has described in one place, when he was in Vrindavan, he was mentioning to the devotees there, he saw that the floor was not clean of the temple. And he also saw that the devotees were very eager to serve the deities, yet they were not so eager to clean the temple. So the Vrindavan floor, even to this day, is also marble, and it's made of black and white marble, like checkered. It's black and white, and it's marble, it's pure marble. And Krishna and Balaram on the altar are also black and white. Krishna is black, Balaram is white. Krishna and Balaram, that's their colors. They're also black and white. So Srila Prabhupada told the devotees, he said that cleaning the temple, that you have to understand that the marble on the temple floor is non-different than, well, he said cleaning the temple floor is non-different than serving or cleaning the body of the deity. Because the marble on the temple floor is also Balaram, right? It's Krishna's temple. That's also Krishna. And serving Krishna in that way is non-different than serving Krishna as the deity. Both are on the same level. But because of our material contamination, we think that, oh no, serving the deity is better than cleaning the floor. But both of them are equally wonderful in the eyes of the Lord, because the devotees engage in serving the Lord, in doing a service that pleases the Lord. And that's why actually one nice mindset is the devotee is quite happy to take a service that no one else wants to take, because generally people don't want to take, but those are the services that if we see, if we're doing it in that consciousness, we see that are just as pleasurable, or they should be just as pleasurable, but they're not. And so by taking those services, we understand, we sort of train the mind to think that, oh, I'm doing this service to please Krishna. I'm not doing this service because of the external manifestation of, or the material kind of happiness that I derive from doing that service. And so the devotees, initially in Krishna's service, in Krishna consciousness, we're very much attached to our service. We're attached to this service or that service, and we identify ourselves in relation to that service. And if that service is taken away or changed, then we feel very devastated. But as we advance more and more in spiritual life, our aspiration is that we're not attached to the service, but we're attached to being a servant. That I'm attached to being a servant. Whatever Krishna wants me to do, whatever the spiritual master wants me to do, whatever the devotees want me to do, I'm happy to do that. Of course, we also need to act on a level that we are at. So in other words, that's a level of a pure devotee, but until we reach that stage, we may need to do services that are according to our nature, our liking, and we may want to, protect those services, do those services because we feel connected to Krishna in those ways. So that is my standard, at least that's where I'm at. But the goal is clear. The goal is that we are attached to being a servant, and that we don't care what service it is. Our only concern is that we're doing the service that is most pleasing to Krishna. That's most pleasing to Krishna. And this is the difference between Sakam Karma Yoga and pure Bhakti Yoga, or Nishkam Karma Yoga, also in pure Bhakti Yoga, that when we are advancing in spiritual life, then we're attached to the service. We're not attached to the result. A karmi is attached both to the work and the result. A mixed devotee is attached to the work, but not to the result. And a pure devotee is not attached to the work or the result. They're simply attached to serving Krishna. They're simply attached to seeing the pleasure of Krishna. And this is why on that stage of pure devotion, a devotee can do anything for Krishna. But we have to work our way there. And until we're there, we oftentimes work according to our nature. We serve according to our nature. So the spirit of the material world is doing things that have a fruitive result, are good for us. But the spirit of the spiritual world is selfless surrender to the Lord, that I just want to surrender to you, Krishna. I don't want anything else. I just want to surrender to you. I just want to serve you every moment. Like we were discussing a few days ago, the stage, the first characteristic of pure love of God is avyartha kalatvam. The devotee doesn't want to waste any time. They don't like to waste time. In the mature world, the most common thing to do is to waste time. Right? People just kill time. They say kill time. They want to kill themselves by killing time, right? Because time is killing us. And if you kill time, you don't utilize it. It's only killing you. But the devotee is always short of time. And, when we become devotees, this is one of the first things we notice, that we have no time left. Everything is so, everything is so busy when you have to chant and then you have to read and there's no time left. But non-devotees have so much time, but devotees have no time because every moment they're trying to engage in the service of the Lord and serving him in so many ways, in the spirit of service, serving him in so many ways, not just always wanting to serve him in every capacity, mind, body, and words, wanting to engage every resource in the service of the Lord. There's a very rich man in India who became a devotee. His name is Arjun Hari, and he lives in Delhi, and he became a devotee. And before he became a devotee, he would drive a Mercedes. He had 4 or 5 cars in India. It's a big thing. BMW, like this. His house was like a palace. Very wealthy man. And then he became a devotee of the Lord. And he opened a temple just now in Vrindavan. It's called the Radha Govinda Mandir. There's some property that he bought there. It was a temple that he, I think, purchased that was already there. A wonderful piece of land, maybe 20, 30 acres of land. And this land now in Vrindavan, land is more expensive than Naperville. This land plus the building is worth at least 100 crore. And he gave that as a donation to ISKCON. It just opened, he gave that donation to ISKCON. And now if you see this person, Arjun Hari Prabhu, he leads a very simple life. He has a very small home. He rides a bicycle. He lives in Vrindavan also now. He gave up all of his cars, everything. Everything he gave up. He was a super rich person. And this is the quality of Krishna consciousness and service to the Lord. I mean, even Narad Muni marvels on this when he sees Krishna in Dwarka. He says that I don't get it, that the devotees of the Lord, they get more and more challenges and troubles. He's referring to the Pandavas. Yet they become more and more attached to you, even though they know that you are sending them the troubles, right? So, this is so devotional service must be so pleasurable that this rich man who had so much material enjoyment, material pleasure, is giving that up and leading such a simple life to serve the Lord. And that's his satisfaction. He's totally satisfied. And that pleasure is higher. That's why he's giving up the material pleasure. And that's why in the last verse also we read, right, how the residents of Vaikuntha, they are traveling in airplanes that are crowded with beautiful women with large hips, he describes, and tinkling ankle bells. All these things that the materialists, they die for it. They aspire for it. There's emeralds, rubies. Each of these ladies is bedecked with jewels. Yet they are simply, yet they are simply engaged in singing the glories of the Lord. They're so getting so much ecstasy in serving Krishna that they're simply engaged in glorifying the Lord. I was reading again from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the glories of Madhavi and the Puri. And Madhavi and the Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying Madhavi and the Puri. This is that chapter. I'll tell you the exact reference here. It's text 179. I forget which chapter it is. It's in Madhya Leela. And Lord Chaitanya himself is glorifying his devotee. And what he writes about Madhavi and the Puri, he says, Madhavi and the Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Sri Madhavi and the Puri used to remain alone. He was completely renounced and always very silent. He was uninterested in everything material. And for fear of talking about mundane things, he always lived without a companion. So these devotees of the Lord were so full in their experience of Madhavi and the Puri was the great Vaishnava who brought love of God in this world. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually took it from him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't bring this Prema Bhakti. Madhavi and the Puri brought it. Madhavi and the Puri was a spiritual master of Ishwar Puri, and Ishwar Puri was a spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so it was coming through Madhavi and the Puri. And Lord Chaitanya, therefore, is glorifying Madhavi and the Puri because he's like his spiritual master, his Param Guru, spiritual master, that he was such a great personality that though due to his intense devotion, he was so famous, though he could have so much glory, fame, service, people were offering him service, but he was not attached to all of this. In fact, he preferred to live without a companion. He was uninterested in material things. He didn't want to talk about mundane things. And that's why he was very renounced and very silent. So the same characteristic we see in the residents of Vaikuntha, that they are, there's beautiful flowers there, but they're interested in seeing the face of the Lord. No interest. The flowers don't look beautiful because the Lord is so beautiful. They are it's so absorbed in singing and thinking about Krishna that the women don't attract them. In fact, the women also, and then in this text is describing that the men are not attracted to enjoying the women, and the women are not attracted to enjoying with the men. Rather, they are cleaning the Lord's palace, Vaikuntha, right? And that so last verse described the men. This verse is actually describing the ladies in Vaikuntha, and why? Just because they want to anugrahane, they want to receive the grace of the Lord. The most valuable thing in this world is to receive the grace of the Lord. And what is that grace of the Lord? The grace of the Lord. So this devotee I was telling about, Arjun Hari, he, gave a donation of 100 crores, which is basically, I think, in Indian rupees, it's like a little over 10 million. So if there's 100 rupees to a dollar, which is more, it's 80 rupees to a dollar, that's about a $10 million donation that he gave. And he's living himself in a hut. So his spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he wrote a letter. He wasn't there for the opening, so he wrote a letter. And in that letter, he said that, I pray to the Lord that he may develop taste for Krishna's holy name, that he may develop great taste for the holy name of Krishna. So, that's the most valuable thing. Like we don't have taste. That the whole thing is like if we somehow get taste for Krishna's holy name, it's like we reach perfection. That's the one thing that we're lacking in this life. So if the spiritual master is praying for us for this, then what could be more valuable, right? What could be more valuable? What could be more valuable than getting the grace of Krishna? So in order to get the grace of Krishna, they are cleaning the floors, because that is the most wonderful thing, the best thing. So this is the spiritual consciousness, right? Krishna consciousness. These verses are describing Krishna consciousness. And so I was telling about Madhavi in the Puri. I'll finish with this. So Madhavi in the Puri, we know his story, that how he goes to Remuna, and there Kshirchor Gopinath keeps a pot of sweet rice for him. And when he keeps that pot of sweet rice, then Kshirchor Gopinath comes in the dream of the pujari, that I have saved this pot of sweet rice for Madhavi in the Puri. Because Madhavi in the Puri came there and he had tasted the sweet rice, and he thought, this is the most wonderful sweet rice in the world. That sweet rice was famous. And he hadn't tasted it, but he was thinking that this is the most wonderful sweet rice. So if I could taste it, then I could similarly cook it for my Gopal deity. His deity was a Gopal deity that was unearthed in Vrindavan. But then he thought that, oh, the Lord has not eaten it, and I'm thinking about tasting it. What a sinner I am. So he leaves that place. So knowing the desire of his pure devotee, Kshirchor Gopinath, he saves one pot of sweet rice. So at night, the pujari gets this dream, and the pujari gets up, he takes the sweet rice, and it's the Lord's order that go and find Madhavi in the Puri and give him this sweet rice. Furthermore, Kshirchor Gopinath tells the pujari that he's right now sitting in the marketplace in one of those shops there, resting there. So that's where you'll find him. So the pujari goes, calling out loudly that, oh, fortunate soul, oh, great devotee of the Lord, Kshirchor Gopinath himself has saved a pot of sweet rice for you. Where are you? Where are you? This is the following morning. And he goes and he gives this to Madhavi in the Puri. At night. And when Madhavi in the Puri receives this sweet rice, then he's in ecstasy. He goes into ecstasy just thinking that the Lord saved a pot of sweet rice for him. How kind the Lord is to this fallen soul. And he relishes that sweet rice. He saves the pot. And then for like the next year, he eats chips of the pot, not just the sweet rice, but because the pot is an earthen pot, it's a clay pot. So he kind of grinds it and eats even the pot. But after he's given this, then Madhavi in the Puri immediately leaves Remuna and he goes on his journey that same night. Because the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, because he knows that his fame will now spread, that people will now know about this happening, right? People will know that this amazing devotee came and there's a pot of sweet rice that the Lord saved for this devotee. And he doesn't want that. He doesn't want, now the whole town is going to come to him the following morning to take his blessings. I mean, if a devotee came here to Naperville and we find out that the deity has saved, a pot of rasgullas for them under their dress, we would all be seeking that devotee's mercy, right? We'd going and touching his feet and putting it on our head. So Madhavi in the Puri immediately knows this is going to happen the next day. Now, most of us, if that happens to us, we'd be like, yeah, I should stay back and, give all these devotees my association and, maybe give them a lecture, a class or two, so everyone can know I'm such a great devotee. But Madhavi in the Puri immediately leaves that place. And because he doesn't want people to know. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that he is uninterested in anything material. And that's the spirit, the consciousness, the Vaikuntha consciousness. That's what Prabhupada says, that that is a Vaikuntha consciousness, which is being shown in this text. So I'll stop here. If there's any questions, comments, sorry for going a little over time. Maybe we can take just for a few minutes and then we'll end. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for your association. Thank you for coming.